Hello. Okay, so I had just been reflecting recently on my journey in business and really where things started to shift. So I guess a little bit of backstory. I've been in this business. It's January of 2026 now, January 5th to be exact, as I'm recording this, and it's been about 5 years where I've really been all in on the coaching side of my business. This business I've been doing for since 2019, and that's when I started to get into the coaching space, but really like full-fledged focused on coaching. Probably started about 5 years ago, and when I first got into this space, and really actually like fast forward a little bit, when I first hired like my first business coach, she actually found me in the DMs on Instagram, which is really like crazy because when we actually met and talked to each other, we found out that we were from like towns that were very close to one another in Wisconsin. So not a lot of people are from Wisconsin. And I didn't actually say that on my profile anywhere. And we actually had worked like a couple blocks away from each other in the same city for years. So anyway, got a little sidetrack there. But this coach, like she was wonderful and she taught me a lot. She taught me, some different methods for sales marketing. My background had been in sales and marketing, and I had been already doing a lot of the things that were like recommended by a lot of coaches, like sending DMs and doing different things, with content and whatnot. But she did teach me a lot, and I will say when she found me, when she reached out to me on Instagram, at the time I was just posting, I was doing whatever, like I was doing what was fun. And as I continued to work with her, like I first of all, I took a big leap financially to hire her. At the time for me, it was a lot of money and I didn't have it. I ended up tapping into my retirement funds to get the money to do that until I could actually pay for it. But when I first started, I was just like, there was so much excitement. And I think a lot of people can resonate with this story when you start a business. There's just so much excitement, and you aren't, conditioned in any way yet. You're just like, it's just going to be great. And I'm so excited. And that's the energy in which I went into it. And that first full year revenue wise was really very successful. And I remember when I met that coach and her asking like a year from now, where do you want to be financially? And I had set a goal out. And I actually hit that goal. And I think I set like 150,000 in that first year there. And looking back at the time, I wasn't looking at what other people were doing. The fact that she had reached out to me on Instagram randomly with a script and everything else, like at the time, I wasn't in the game and I didn't know that that was right or wrong. Like I had reached out in the past to people in my network. That's how I got, some of my previous clients before I had met her, and especially like one of my largest corporate clients that I still have to this date was in the DMs, but I didn't realize back then that this was something that was bad, or that people would judge me for. I just said, like, thought, like, I'm just excited. I just want my business to work. I wasn't questioning. I wasn't comparing myself to anybody else. I was just doing my thing, trying to make it work. And it was fun. And it did work. And, I continued to do this work with this coach. And again, I was just focused on doing what she, told me to do. I wasn't looking what anyone else was doing. I wasn't comparing. I wasn't waiting to see if it worked because for all intents and purposes, like, yes, I wanted it to work. I hired this woman to help me make more money and to reach my goals and whatever. But I was just playing. I was just curious. I was just excited. And the further that I got into my business, the more that was at stake. And after I had reached, that goal, that financial goal that I had set, and um, we had decided, my husband and I, to put a lot of that money towards paying off debts that we had at the time, and we paid that off. And then we kind of got to that, like, okay, things are paid off and I've reached this level, and so now what? And then it was like, okay, I moved the goalpost, and then we continued going, and it was like, rather than just being like, okay, I'm happy, I'm good with how things are and how things are going, it was like, no, I need to do more, I need to do better. And I started looking to other people and other things. And I remember I had a team at that point that, I mean, I still do, but a different team. And I remember, they're like, oh, we should like look at what everybody else is doing and then break it down and figure out how they're doing it. And I remember looking at some of like the big Facebook groups at the time and reverse engineering like their exact processes and what they were doing, because I didn't want to invest, and I couldn't at the time, invest in all of the different things. And I remember too, even down to like the name of my Facebook group, and this team member suggesting like, oh, well, we should name it something to do with cash flow. She's like, because I know I like cash, and people like cash, and it didn't feel in alignment with me at the time, but I did it anyway. And so I did all of these things based on what other people were doing. I built my Facebook group. I, changed my marketing. I changed the way I was writing content. I changed a lot of things to make sure that I was doing things right, to meet what other people were doing, and to, again, for the beginning of working with my coach, I wasn't really doing this because I was just so new. But then, again, what my coach was telling me to do, and a lot of those things were great. It was when I started to get into my head about them, when I started to look at what other people were saying, like, you shouldn't send DMs, you shouldn't do this, it should all be attraction and blah, blah, blah. I started to make myself wrong and try to change everything that I was doing based on what other people were doing. And, looking back at me, the last several years, like the last couple of years, honestly, I've really been, I wouldn't say in an identity crisis, but really an identity shift of trying to understand, what it is that I want to do, who it is that I am here to serve. And I did not identify, I will say, with the term burnout. Um, but looking back, I can see now that I was starting to burn out, and that was a slow burn that happened, and in large part because I was doing a lot of the things that I was told that I was being the good girl, that business coaches and other experts were doing and saying I needed to do. But I had lost the excitement. I had lost that drive that I had in the beginning, when I wasn't worried about what other people were doing. I wasn't comparing myself to them. I wasn't worried about whether they were judging me for sending DMs. I was just doing the thing, and I was having fun, and I was loving my business and my life. And then it started to just get so wrapped up in doing it right, getting it right. I stopped focusing on the amazing life that I had, which was the whole purpose for me behind why I wanted this business in the first place. I stopped doing a lot of the things that had actually like lit me up in the beginning, that had attracted a lot of my initial clients to me, because I thought, it's not good enough. I need to grow. I need to do more. And the reason that I'm recording this is because I see this happening for a lot of people, and a lot of really successful people who started their businesses with a vision, and then they get to a certain point and they're like, I need to change this. And even like changing appearances, and it's fine. And as you evolve and you grow and you have more money, and what you want changes, how you dress changes, what you can afford changes, I get that. But like, people just changing their identities to fit in with what they think they need to be in order to continue to grow and be successful, when in reality, the thing that makes you the most magnetic is when you're in your own energy, doing the things that light you up, saying the things that you want to say, not living your life or running your business for other people, but instead doing and saying the things that you want to do. And, going back even further outside of my business and my life, because the last couple of years, like it has still been great, but I've started to like think, oh, my life isn't that good and this and that. It's because I wasn't doing a lot of the things. I wasn't trusting myself to actually go do a lot of the things that I wanted to do in my life, because I was so focused on my business and getting it right, and on growing and getting to that next level, and not disappointing anybody, including myself, to be honest, because I was afraid. I was afraid to let go of some of those things. So, I spent a lot of time really just wearing this mask, and, to be honest, performing. And I didn't see it at the time. So being on the other side of it, I can look at it and say, like, this is what's happening. And I see so many other women doing this. And again, very highly successful women, you are doing this. And it's not about, the number on your bank account. It's the fact of like, do you have to take this step back and say, am I actually happy? And for me, I wasn't happy. And it's taken me a long time to recognize why that was, because on paper I should have been. And it led me to probably make some questionable financial decisions. It led me to hide certain things from my husband. It impacted my relationships in my marriage and outside of my marriage. It impacted how much I was actually enjoying my life. It impacted so many things because I was just trying to do everything right, do what I thought I was supposed to do what, additional coaches that I hired after that first one, because, we've all invested. I've invested in more things. I've done more different strategies. I've changed so much, but at the root of it all, what I've had to come back to is basically this past year, like I kind of burned everything to the ground. And I've seen a lot of changes in myself, in my business. My financial situation definitely changed for a while, which has, been coming back online. But and it was again, because I chose to take that step back, because I really needed to take that look and say, like, is this sustainable the way that it is right now? Am I happy? And I couldn't say yes to that. I wasn't lit up. I was just creating offers, creating things to try to sell, to try to make money. And the spark that had actually like made me want this business in the first place, like helping other people to have a life that they freaking love and a business that supports that. Like that was my mission. And I had started to make that wrong even and not good enough. People aren't going to pay me enough for that. I need to talk about this, that, or the other thing. So I just wanted to record this again because I think that so many of you can actually resonate with this. And if you can actually, like, if you are not thriving in all areas of your life, business, relationships, etc., your health right now, you need to take a step back and actually look at the big picture, because the thing is what's not working in your relationship, what's going wrong with your health, what's happening with your money, they're all fucking related. And you might not be experiencing like compounded issues in all areas, but oftentimes it's not just the thing that you're seeing that's the problem. Like, so for me, I was seeing a lot of issues in my relationship. Um, at the same time that I was experiencing financial like slowdowns in my business and hitting these plateaus. And they were very much related to the same things. And it took me having to take this step back to really see. And it's something I hear people say this a lot, and I call them on it, saying like I'm so good at helping other people with these things, but I'm not always the best at helping myself. And first of all, I think we always need someone from the outside, a mentor to help us, to support us in reaching our goals, but and calling us on our shit. But at the same time, I was so close to it, I couldn't see that the exact thing that was happening to me was the thing that I was helping other people with. So, just again, encourage you to really take that step back from your life, your business, and not like burn it to the ground, but just take a moment and actually ask yourself, like, look at the areas of your business, your life, and the areas where you're not really where you want to be right now, and what's actually happening behind the scenes and what needs to be cleaned up, because if you're not happy in one area, what you're building is probably not going to be sustainable, and eventually it will catch up. And I can say that from personal experience. I can say that from seeing it with my clients. And your success is holistic and integrated in nature, and they're all related. So when you can actually look at the big picture, you save yourself time, money, energy, and you can get to that place of really true thriving and happiness so much faster and easier. And it's not just like a destination that you suddenly arrive and you're there. You always are going to have to do this. But when you're looking at that big picture at the same time, it's going to make that journey so much faster, so much easier, and just save you so much time, energy, and allow you to get back to that space where you were in the beginning, where you were excited, where you were freaking thriving, where you had the business, the life, all the things that you want. in tandem. And maybe, yes, at the time you didn't have the money that you do now, but you can still come back to that. You can still make the money that you want and still have an amazing life and still thrive in your relationships and your health and everything else in your life. So, just wanted to record that for you today. And if this has resonated with you, give me a little like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next video. And if you want to join me, the links to my other platforms and especially my free community over on Telegram are going to be in the description below. We'll talk soon.